Good morning, guests in person and online. My name is Melody Rose Adrian, and for those who don't know me, I am an honor student, entrepreneur, and fashion designer, which is just a fancy way of saying I love learning, creating, and of course, looking fabulous while doing it. Now, before we dive into today's DV Connector Network Mastery class, let's take care of a few things. First, please put your phones on vibrate. We don't want any distractions in the middle of someone's speech. And let's all be respectful while others are doing it, whilst others are speaking. For those joining us online, please be sure to type all your comments and questions in the chat so you can stay part of the conversation. I am especially excited to hear from today's guest of honor, Calvin C. Reed Jr. I know he has some wise words to share. It is truly a privilege to be here among such an amazing group of people. Thank you all for being here. Let's make this an amazing event. Now, please join me in welcoming David Thomas.
Thank you, Melody, for such a wonderful welcome. And welcome to everyone present and those online to the latest DV Connector Network gathering. For those of you that are new, DV stands for Divine Vision. And our group, I'm sorry. Okay. Our group was started as a result of a celebration, a retirement celebration for a Don Viapree many years ago. And several of his mentees decided that we wanted to keep the camaraderie, we wanted to keep the networking, the community going. And so Kaylin Dines and other mentees of Don formed the DV Connector Network. And we met during the pandemic online, and now we're back to hybrid events where some people are meeting online and others are meeting here in person. Because of the unprecedented times that we live in, I just want to say we're going to make it. We have to learn from those who came before us, because unfortunately our existence here in America has been fraught with trouble, but somehow we managed to make it through. We have to rediscover community, and we have to learn, like someone much greater than ourselves once said, a house divided can't stand. So it's imperative that we come together, that we support one another, that we not wait on others to come and rescue us, because we are the ones that we've been waiting for. We're here to celebrate the life and the legacy of Calvin Reed, truly a Renaissance person who has excelled in many endeavors. You're going to hear a lot more. I'm looking to learn a lot from those who worked with him, as well as hear his own words and wisdom. And that's another thing that's going to enable us to make it through, is hearing from from our elders. You cut yourself off at the knees when you cut off connections with the elders. So we're here to learn from someone who is wise, someone who has accomplished a lot, and someone who can pass on some knowledge to us all. I don't see certain persons in the audience yet. At this time, I would like to call up Tayshawn Glover from the Newark Times, who would like to say a few words.
Good morning, everyone. Still morning? Good morning. Yeah. Pleasure to see everybody. How is everybody doing today? Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, Don, for allowing me to say some words. You did not tell me I'd speak after Melody, so we'll talk about that later. I am a entrepreneur, a creative, and I'm happy to live, work, and play here in Newark. I publish a news media site. It's called the New York Times. I run a creative marketing agency and branding agency called Studio Creative Group. And I've also launched and created a lifestyle and body product brand called Nina's All Naturals, named after my daughter. I am especially humbled and inspired by today's meeting and the fact that it's centered on Mr. Reed and his life and his work and legacy. And especially because I learned by way of the invitation and what I learned of your story, that the work that I do lives in a lineage and a legacy. And often in our community, amongst our people, we believe that we are the ones that have to pave the road, that the road has not been paved for us. And that is not necessarily the case many times. There is a adage that we're all probably familiar with, that, you know, until the lion learns to write, the story will glorify the hunter. And the idea is that the story has an agenda behind it. And so the story of what is and how it is connected to an agenda. And for us, for our people in our community, the prevailing narrative's agenda was not for our best interest. So I didn't know about a Calvin Reed Jr. had there not been a Don Viapree, but there may not have been a Don Viapree had there not been a Calvin Reed. So I am very, very privileged that I get to tell stories by way of the New York Times, that I get to share cultures and experiences and events that are going on here. I'm very privileged that I get to help businesses and business owners tell their own stories by way of Studio Creative Group. And I'm also very honored that I get to pay homage to the future by way of Nina's All Naturals, the future most immediately being my daughter, and then the future in terms of future business owners like Melody. Knowing that we all are walking a paved road, that we are by extension responsible to continue paving for future generations. So I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you, Mr. Viapree. Thank you, Mr. Reed. Thank you, everybody who's here. And if I can be of service to you, that is the only reason I'm here. So please hold me accountable to that. Thank you.
We have several people to thank. We'd like to thank Trina Stokes and Pillar College for hosting this event. Thank you for your hospitality. Also, our refreshments are provided by Corey and Nakisha Wilson, and we'd like to thank them. Also, our technical services are being provided by Andrew Frazier and the Small Business Pro University. Online hosting is Doreen Bethia, and we'd like to acknowledge her as well.
Good morning.
At this time, our motto here at DV Connector Network is each one, reach one, and teach one, and that's what we're looking to do here. And we'd like to take just a moment of silence for those that have passed before we continue. Thank you. Thank you. At this time, I would like to call up Mr. Don Viapree, who is going to give us some behind the scenes and intimate look at Mr. Calvin Reed. Don.
Good morning. When I arrived in New Jersey from Ohio in 1981, and I had no job, and I was walking with faith, for I know not what I was going to do, where I was going to end up, and what was going to happen. So my uncle-in-law said to me, I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to find you something. He worked for the city of Newark. He worked in housing. Always say their names. Wendell Wilson. So Wendell took me around and introduced me to every water hole in the city of Newark. And I met some very colorful people and some very promising people that told me a whole lot of things, but it never turned out into a job. And that went on for about 2 to 3 months. Every day, every night, me and Wendell hit the road. I met Mayor Gibson. I met folks in City Hall. I met folks in Housing Authority. I met some celebrities at that time who coming from Ohio. I didn't know they were celebrities. I just know they wanted a drink from Wendell. And after a while, I said to Wendell after 2 months, I said, this is getting to be a little struggle. I need to produce. I need to take care of business. And Wendell said, you know what? Let's look at the Star Ledger into the wanted ad pages, see if we find you a job. And that's how I got my first job, selling with a little suitcase, waterless cookware, stemware, china, flatware. Trained for about 30 minutes out of East Rutherford and sent to Bergen County was my first assignment, where the popo got to know me very well, and where my work was cut short because of who I am and what I look like. But I persisted because I knew that I had to get out of there at a certain time. So I had to get started earlier. And I made no sales because I was floundering. And an old lady took me in and said, I don't want anything, and I'm going to show you what you need to do here. You need to put on these white gloves, and you need to, knock on the doors with the white, and everybody's going to say, why are you wearing white gloves? And that's when you sort of ease your way. And my sales just jumped up. And so there are people along the way in your life that I call difference makers. They make a difference in your life. They do something to get you from here to there, and sometimes to get you even higher than there. Never lose those people. Never. And so after that, Wendell Wilson decided he's going to be more helpful from the wanted ads and the 2 months rolling around the water hose in the city of Newark. He's going to get me a customer. So he got me Miss Newark Housing. And Miss Newark Housing at the time was working at the cable company in Newark. And so I sold out of my suitcase some china and something, and Miss Newark Housing just was like enamored with my presentation. And she's like, yo, you need to stop doing this and you need to sell cable. And I said, cable what? And she said, cable TV. And I said, what is that? And she says, where you been? And I said, Ohio. And she said, that explains it.
Right.
You just get down to 360 Central Avenue tomorrow, and I will introduce you to the sales department, and they should hire you. You're good. And I said, okay. But I took my suitcase with me. And before she left me, Shalia Hill is her name. Say her name. Shalia Hill opened the door, welcomed me to 360 Central Avenue. I looked at the building and I said, what is this building? And she said, this used to be the biggest and oldest Cadillac dealership in the city of Newark. I says, really? Okay. I'm excited. Who am I going to see? She said, sit right there. I sat there with my suitcase. She said, by the way, I want you to also sell what I'm selling. So you're going to work for me too. I said, what are you selling? She says, Cameo lingerie. I said, whoa. I said, you're going to train me? She said, just read this. It speaks for itself. And you're good. So now I had two things going. So I sat there and I waited and watched the employees pass. And I would say, excuse me, my name is Don. Would you like to see something that I have here while I wait? And I was just selling. That went on for about 2 months. Why? See, because Mr. Reed was busy and that was not his job. And the person whose job it was to hire me, like, either wasn't available, would see me later, come back next week. I wasn't coming back next week. I was making sales every day. So I would come in and sit with my suitcase and my little Cameo lingerie, catalog, and I'd say, I'm waiting to see someone in sales. Nobody leave you alone. So much so eventually people thought I worked there. Because I knew where the bathroom was, I knew whose offices were there. People would walk in and say, Mr. So-and-so, I'd say, go right there, turn the corner. People would ask me to go get their lunch. If I could get their lunch, pay me to go pick it up. And I felt I belonged there. But I'm just waiting to get in. Finally, 2 months, Mr. Al Bundy comes up. He was a sales supervisor at that time. And he said, Don, I understand your way that we don't have a job. And when your heart just drops because your aspiration was so high, but here's a person telling you it ain't gonna happen. I just froze. And he said, nevertheless, I want to see what you have in your suitcase because you ain't supposed to be selling here anything. And I said, well, I don't see a no solicitation sign. See, once you're in sales, you got to know the rules. I said, y'all need to put up some no solicitation signs all over. So until you do that, I'm selling here. So I can show you what I have in my suitcase. And I had a little attitude now because, he's showing me the door. He's not hiring me, but he wants to cover and covet me by buying something or seeing what I had. So he bought something, something small. So I said, I have to come and deliver it. He said, call me first before you come and deliver it, because he knew I was coming to sell again. So as disappointed as I was, Calvin, and as there is divine providence, I was supposed to that day go and pay my car insurance up the street from 360 Central Avenue into East Orange to my insurance agent, who was a friend of the family, Owen Morris, another difference maker. Owen saw my face as I came in with my little check, and Owen said, what's wrong with you? You and Wendell hanging out too much. You don't look too happy. You look like you disturbed or something, need some rest. I said, no, that's not it. He said, what's the problem? I said, 360 Central Avenue connection cable. They just said they're not going to hire me. He says, what? Who? I said, a guy named Al Bundy said they're not hiring. They'll call me if they need me. He said, are they crazy? He says, I know somebody there. Tell me exactly what happened. And I told him I've been going there for week after week selling to. He said, say no more. He picked up the phone. He dialed a number. And I heard some very colorful words come out of his mouth. And he put down the phone and he said, you're hired. I said, who was that you spoke to like that? He smiled. Owen Morris, who transitioned about 2 years ago. He said, you didn't know I have the policy on that building. I said, policy? He said, their insurance policy. And I did them a favor and they owe me. So I just called in my chip. Don't you go there and mess up my reputation. Right. You hear, boy? I says, no, sir, I'll never do. He says, no, I'm serious. You got to go there and not just shine. You got to blow them out of the water. And he just kept going on and on. I said, I'm here to just pay my check. He says, tomorrow morning, you get ready, go down there. And that's how I got in. And when I got in, I didn't know what I was doing. And my first check was $50. And I thought, I don't know if I could do this. And then I ran into the next person, Bruce Christopher, salesperson number one, another difference maker, who took me under his wing, told me a few things. and then I was number 2. So these difference makers play a pivotal role in your growth and development. But your responsibility, having received the gift from them, is now to be able to share it with everyone else, no exception. And that's what we do at DV Connector. And that's why Mr. Reed is here, because Al Bundy reported to Mr. Reed, who I met later when Mr. Reed would conduct his meetings. And the meetings were rough sometimes when the numbers were down, because he would threaten. He would say, we got to get these numbers up, or else some people will not be here in the room at the next meeting. And so I say to you, in introducing Calvin, that there are things in life that you just don't know. And you just need to discover as you go along the way. But you must ask questions. You must spread your wings and soar, because that's why you have wings, to soar. And the only way you soar is if you begin to spread them. And the only way you spread them is if you begin to flap them. And the only way you fly is then you soar. And so you need to always know something that you don't know. For instance, how many people know that their heart beats 60 to 100 times a minute, which amounts to about 19,000 times a day? How many know that your heart, which you speak of, your precious little heart, the size of your fist, pumps 1.3 gallons of blood a minute? Your little heart. Your heart that you say that you care and love and desire to be in the presence of someone that you wonder about or that you think about. And so there are many things we don't know. But if you can breathe 75% out of one nostril, 25% out of the other, no, you don't breathe equally out of both nostrils. You never did and you never will. Know your human body because it's yours. Nobody else has it but you. They never will teach you in school, but it's your business to know. And so it was our business in the DV Connector Network to find these pioneers who laid the foundation for telecommunications in the city of Newark. And that's why we had them sequentially, Mr. Reed being the last one of them that we will have. But as not knowing that your heart pumps 1.3 gallons a minute of blood, and not knowing that your heart is the size of a fist, so too did I not know everything that Mr. Reed has done. For I only saw him as a person working as the vice president of marketing and sales at Connection Cable. But if you who are here know everything he has done, he is much more versatile than I could have ever imagined while he conducted those sales meetings with us to move the numbers to keep that company going. So I urge you, take time to know everything that you cannot and do not know, because it will be a difference in your life too. Calvin Reed attended Lincoln University in Pennsylvania, where he studied English literature and economics. He also studied 1 semester abroad and did a special research project on the subject of which was the attitude of Europeans towards Black people from the United States. The countries he studied in were Belgium, England, France, and Spain. He also attended the Publishing Institute at the University of Denver, Colorado. He began his professional career as the director of Essex County Youth and Economic Rehabilitation Commission. Also, at the same time, he started 3 magazines. One was called Black Oranges, the other one Gospel Review, and the last one Happening Magazine. He sold Gospel Review to Savoy Records. He transitions from the Essex County Youth Commission job to senior city planner for the city of East Orange. While working as senior city planner, he developed the first master plan for the city of East Orange. And also during that time, he attended New School of Social Research in New York, where he studied urban planning and policy analysis. He left the planning department and became deputy mayor of the city of East Orange. While in the deputy mayor's office, he established the neighborhood block associations of East Orange. This was a group that allowed homeowners to earn credits by working on one another's homes. The reward for their efforts was free supplies for work on their own homes. He also established the Youth Tutoring program, which encouraged high school students to tutor elementary school students who needed assistance in math and reading skills. Additionally, he was responsible while in the deputy mayor's office for monthly reviews of all municipal departments, including police, fire, health, education, and other social services. He left the public sector to attend the Denver Publishing Institute. And after graduating from the Institute, he became a corporate analyst for Doubleday Books. While at Doubleday Books, he became the in-house expert on cable television. And he also had a book project responsibility at Doubleday. And under that responsibility, he was able to bring in 2 books for publication: Cooking for the Champ by Lena Shabazz, who was Muhammad Ali's personal chef, and the other book, To Be or Not to Bop, which was Dizzy Gillespie's biography. Among his other activities at Doubleday was the research for the acquisition of the New York Mets baseball team. He left Doubleday to help develop cable television in the city of Newark. And that's how Connections Communications Corporation, the firm he co-founded, was awarded the cable franchise in 1978 by the city of Newark. He served as the vice president of marketing and corporate development from 1978 until the company sold in 1986. During his time in cable television, he was also successful in getting the cable franchises for South Orange, for Jersey City, and for 22 other franchises in South Carolina. After the sale of the cable company, he formed Reed's Pro Construction and built the shopping center developers, the Brick Church Mall in East Orange. The mall consisted of a ShopRite supermarket, a PNC Bank, Channel Lumber, as well as 21 satellite stores. His next major construction project was a 71-unit senior citizen complex on Walnut Street in East Orange, the Bishop Taylor Homes. He continued to build residential properties, 2 and 3 and 4-story homes in and around Essex County and Union County, while at the same time he developed a new company called Platinum Financial Resources, which provided a wide variety of mortgage and development services for the real estate industry. And that company has currently acquired 6 townhouses in Baltimore. These homes that he developed in Baltimore should be completed by the fall of 2025. And currently, they also have a bid in Baltimore for 17 additional properties, which we're confident that with the bids out, he'll be successful in acquiring them. Mr. Reed is currently working with the New Africa Development Corporation to rebuild what we hope will become the New Africa District, which is a large part of West and Central wards of the city of Newark. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Calvin Reed to the podium.
Yeah. Thank you. You're welcome. Well, first of all, thank you all for gathering this morning. I don't know that I'm really that important an individual, but I suppose in the process of doing what I was dreaming I wanted to do with my life, I accidentally impacted a lot of other folks. But of course, these other folks were also important in making my dream and our dreams for Newark and cable and other situations that I was involved in possible. And one of the people who was clearly involved with making it happen for me in cable was John Barry Washington, who was the founder of the cable company, one of the founders. But the actual inspiration for the cable company came from Clarence Lilly, who is Clarence Ali now, but at the time he was Clarence Lilly. Clarence gave Barry a bunch of research information on cable television. And Barry read the information, and Clarence said, listen, I think we can get this done in Newark. Well, I understood the politics of trying to get things done anywhere because I had been deputy mayor in East Orange. So that was an asset for me to join the team. But the other was that I was the in-house expert for cable television at Doubleday. So when we were getting the cable company in Newark, one of the things that we did was we used Doubleday's resources and their facility to have plans for our business. So I would have folks come and meet us at Doubleday in their corporate headquarters on 47th Street in New York on Park Avenue. And they didn't know whether they were working for Doubleday or they were coming for me. So I just picked them everybody's brain. You know, I had Paul Kagan, who was at the time the leading consultant from Denver, Colorado. Paul came in and spoke with us, Barry and I, in a private room at Doubleday on the 47th floor of the American Brand Building. And we picked his brain. And he said, oh, you guys are, you're sharp. And, blah, blah. So, and he taught us what cable television was about. So cable television really started in Pennsylvania. Cable television was community antenna television. And in cities in Pennsylvania, at the time, they had no broadcast television. They couldn't get reception. So one of the local TV repair guys said, if we put an antenna up on the highest mountain near the cable, near our city, we could probably wire everybody's house and get cable. We'll get them a cable that will give them the service. So then, the guy said, you saw some good old boys, basically. And they ran some wires. They're TV repair guys. And we run some wires, we'll charge people a fee. And they charged them a fee and they got the service. And they were like, well, this is wonderful. So, well, they started spreading and they started doing it in more communities. And the more communities that got wired with this cable, the more the big boys start thinking, well, they need some programming. There's something we might be able to do to, provide programming for these folks. And that's when Time Warner and those folks at Doubleday, at Time Warner developed HBO. And HBO was, the first TV system for movies and extra special shows that you could get without any commercials. And then after that, it was Showtime from Viacom. And we were pioneers in getting all of those programs onto our service, but not before we had to get a franchise for our own. And the franchise was an interesting process because there were a number of folks who wanted to have the franchise in Newark. And so we were up against a couple of really big companies. But the advantage that we had was that we knew the community, and we knew, what they wanted, and we knew that we could attract more people to our system that we built than anybody else could. And so we went to Steve Adebato, who ran the North Ward Community Center. And he said, Steve, we're going to need some assistance. We need some folks to come and support us for our effort to get this franchise for the city of Newark. And Steve had some influence politically, but we did too. We knew, Ralph Harris, who was the president of city council at the time, and Ralph Grant, Reverend Grant, who was also instrumental in helping us, to attain the system. And we said, listen, guys, we know that big boys are coming in and telling you that, they'll give you this, they'll give you that. And I said to them, take it. Take whatever they want to give you. I said, just vote for us. And so the night that we had the presentation for the city council, before the city council, it was already rigged as far as I was concerned. Our team came in from the back. We was like a basketball team announcing so-and-so, Barry Washington. And we, everybody came in and we had the audience at city council chambers was packed, and everybody had CCC badges. And these were all older white women that Steve Adebato had sent down from the North Ward Community Center to support us that night. 2 or 3 busloads of folks that came down. And these were all pink people, which was a wonderful thing. And they sincerely wanted to support us because they really wanted to help this cable system come into Newark. And so we won that franchise. It was a wonderful thing. And nobody complained. The only complaint was how we're now going to get the money to build it. But once we had the franchise, doors began to open with regard to the availability of funds. Barry had been a research analyst at Prudential. So he had an in with the Prudential people. And through Prudential and through the Mesbicks, Syncom, Terry Jones, a brother from DC, and what was the other brothers? There was another brother, but Syncom gave us the money, the initial few dollars to get started. After Syncom came in, Prudential came in, and then the Philadelphia Bank, they joined in the method. And so we ended up with about $10 million. Now, you got to remember, this was 1978, and $10 million to 4 young Black guys was amazing to acquire. And so we got it. And of course, we were feeling kind of heady, like, ooh, now we got the franchise, and now we got to find out who's going to build it for us. So we got a guy who was an engineer who was in town as well. I'm from New Jersey, and he said, well, I can design a system for you. So we really knew what cable was, but we didn't know how you go about designing a cable system. Well, you design a cable system the same way you develop a telephone company. You go out and set wires up all over town. So then it happened to be, there was a few wires that we had to string up to get this cable company done. 280 miles of wire. 280 miles of wire to wire the city of Newark. So that was a daunting task. But we got a company out of Pennsylvania who came in, and they were up to the task. Of course, there were several, roadblocks, even with the construction. There was only as using our headquarters as, the Central Cadillac building. We could only go so far without having to go under the Garden State Parkway to get to to get to certain parts of town. So that was a real obstacle, because how do you go over the Parkway? Well, we didn't go over the Parkway. We went under. We found a way to get under the Parkway and hang wires, unbeknownst to the city, because it was taking a long time to get the city to approve anything. So, I said, listen, I think we can go. Actually, I was out doing a survey for the marketing department. I said, I think we could go under this road right here. If we just, I said, all we need was a pole right here, and then we could go right there. And wow, we'd be right on the other side of Vailsburg Park. I said, it's done. So we did that. That's how we got the initial entree into the Vailsburg section of the north. And we did a similar maneuver, let's call it, to get down to the neck, because then we had to cross Broad Street. Ooh, how you do that? Well, you do it carefully. But we had to have that part of the city in order to increase our availability, to increase our subscribership. And we did get that done as well. And then, of course, once you build a system, you have to provide a service, and you have to have a network to be able to get the service that you're going to provide, cable television, out to the people. And then you have to say, well, how are we going to price this? And the way we priced everything was kind of unique, in that we priced our cable not according to what business, what system, what HBO or Showtime or movie channel you wanted. We priced it rather by the price you could afford to pay. So we had 4 or 5 tiers of service that you could sell to a prospective customer. Now, of course, I wanted that so that everybody could get opportunity to have cable television, because I'm, basically a socialist. I want everybody to share. But the people who I hired as salespeople were sharks, and they knew they got a higher commission the more services they sold. So you could get $15 of your on a basic sale, and about $35 or more for a custom sale. And so what they would say is, listen, try it all first. And if it doesn't work out for you, or if you think you don't need it all, you can always downgrade. Well, they got paid whether they got downgraded or not. And Don was a master of that. But that was an effective way of not only getting the cable into the marketplace, but of selling cable television. And it exposed a lot of people, because not just to the cable TV, but we also had a community aspect to the cable television system. So we had a community, you could go on cable. Well, wow, what did that mean to anybody? You could go on cable TV. Well, it meant a lot, because the first time that Sharp James ran for mayor, he ran against Gibson. And Gibson was using cable television to get advertisement to reach the people. And so there was 25,000 folks that he was reaching every day, plus their families that he was reaching. And I said to the guys, I said, listen, it's not really fair that Sharp's not got an opportunity to get on cable. So we donated some time to Sharp so that to level the playing field. And it worked out well for him, because he won against all odds. I mean, Sharp was a popular guy, but nobody wanted Gibson to leave. And as a matter of fact, it was kind of a betrayal of Gibson that we let Sharp get on the cable system. But I wanted things to be fair, and I wanted the people in Newark to have as their mayor who they thought they best deserved. And Sharp turned out to be that guy. And then we knew that there were other things that could be done as well with cable. And one of the things that we decided we could do was we could advertise. We could start advertising local businesses using the cable television network. So we started a company called Cable Advertisement Systems, called CAS. And through CAS, we were able to begin to advertise local businesses, entrepreneurs all over town. And I remember one guy in particular we had, which was, he had a bodybuilding company, and he wasn't getting any rhythm at all. I mean, you'd go into his shop and there'd be nobody there except him and a couple of dusty weights. And so we went into his shop and we did an ad. John Rice Brothers, he's passed, but John worked with us on this, and we put together this advertisement where he had this scrawny guy come into the shop and start, pumping weights, and he looked emaciated, and then we flashed to 4 months later, and we see this guy who's looking like Adonis, and this too could be you, you know what I mean? And added a name and some numbers, but the shop grew tremendously after that. And he grew so much, he got so much business that he stopped advertising. He said, I don't need your service anymore. But that was a good thing, But one of the saddest things that happened was when we realized we probably were going to have to sell the system. There's only so much growth they were going to allow us. We had just gotten the franchise for the South Orange cable system, and we were beginning to build that out. We had successfully, with a partner, Arnold McKinnon, gotten the franchise for Jersey City, and it looked like we were going to be a powerhouse in the cable business. We had the 21 franchises in South Carolina that we were beginning to impact. And so I was like, what could possibly be going wrong? I mean, everything's going right. And then our accountant said, yeah, but you guys are spending more money than you're bringing in. And it never occurred to me, why don't we just raise the bill? But rather than, that was an option, but it's not one we exercised. And of course, then the creditors start to lean down on you. They're like, you guys can't pay. You certainly, if it's too big for you, it's time for you to. So, and it wasn't too big for us, but we were young, and we weren't being given the best of advice because it wasn't in the best interest of the powers that be to give us good advice. So, reluctantly, we sold the company. But, the experience that we all gained from having had that opportunity was enormous. And of course, we raised during the course of the time that we had the cable company, almost 200 Don Viaprees who are still amongst us now and doing really well. So that's kind of our story. My story continues, of course, because now I'm still working in Newark. Don mentioned at the end that I'm working on a project called the New Africa Development Corporation. And with the New Africa Development Corporation, we are building a district in Newark, which was going to mirror Chinatown in New York or Little Italy, where our district is going to be New Africa. So it's going to be things that encompass the African diaspora. So our people doing our things for us. That's what the theme of it is. And it's about a 6 square mile area of the city of Newark. It's from Springfield Avenue over to 78, down to Irvington Boulevard, up to the Irvington Boulevard, the Irvington border. And we're starting out with the development of a senior citizen complex on 15th Street. That'll be either 25 or 50 units. We're doing 14 units on Blum Street. We're doing some single family houses. We're doing a 2-family house on 16th Street. These are the start. We have some properties on 18th Avenue, and Avon. We have some properties on Springfield Avenue itself. We're doing a project there. So we have a number of projects that we have in works right now and that we're very excited about. And quite frankly, New Africa came about as a kind of I got to have something to do. I'm retired, but you know what? Yeah. So Clarence said to me, "Hey, Cal, you want to help me with this little project?" I said, "No problem." That was 5 years ago. He said, "Cal, you gonna help me with this little project?" I said, "Well, what's the little project?" He said, "Well, we're going to build a little senior citizens building." I said, "Okay." I built the senior citizens building. I was like, "No big deal. I could do it again." I did not know it was going to mushroom into this madness where, we are, we're attempting to raise in excess of $100 million to get this project done. We have right now tentative commitments for about 20, $30 million that we're reeling in. And we expect to actually break ground on the first of the buildings that we're putting into this district sometime this year. So knock on wood, that'll happen, and I'll continue to thrive in Newark, and Newark will continue to thrive with me. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them.
May I? Can you hear me? Hi, this is Doreen. I'm online.
Hello,
So-
Doreen online.
Yeah, it's interesting the point you made about giving Sharpton time to level the playing field. You described it as a betrayal of Gibson.
Well,
I wonder. I'm sorry.
I want to hear out what you.
Yeah, I'm wondering, the courage it takes to do what seemed the right thing to do and bring us up to where we are today, standing up for what's right, but understanding in this climate we're living in, it's not the same kind of game.
Well, let me say this about that, and I'm glad you brought that up. It really didn't take much courage. I was just arrogant. I mean, when I don't mean that in a derogatory way towards myself or anything like that. I was arrogant in my beliefs, and my beliefs were that it was only right that this brother should have a fair shake with the mayor. I figured if the mayor was really popular and he'd done a good job, which I thought he had done. Matter of fact, if I had been able to vote at the time for the mayors, I would have voted for Gibson. But I didn't think he was right, and I didn't even give it a second thought. I just said, this is what we need to do. And the brothers at the cable company, Barry, Clarence, Mel, and myself, we realized it was something that we all felt good about. And so there was no conscience about it. Yes, Ken had helped us, but Ken Sharp helped us too once he got elected. So that was just not like I didn't feel like it was a betrayal. Really, I thought it was just opening the field so that everybody had real access. And additionally, I actually spoke to Ken about it later, and he felt like it was the right thing to do too. So I was admonished. Yeah, so. Yeah.
Saying what you guys have started. I published my first book in 2009 titled Newark's Armadillo, to which I reached out to that department, which you said you created to advertise small businesses.
Yes.
I reached out to that department and created a commercial, which was filmed at Branchford Park. And I paid for a series of advertisement on cable.
Right.
I had it shown on the USDA.
Wait. Let me. You're not asking for a refund, are you?
No. and wanting to make sure that we had a level playing field. I had the slightest idea that you guys were behind this, but I profited from that. Because when I told you I sold books like hotcakes, people were buying books from me, from the buses, the train while I was going to work. I was selling books because they saw my commercial on cable.
Well, that's a wonderful commission. That's good.
Wonderful learning about your history and everything that you've done. I have two questions. One is the real estate development. Is it for seniors only?
No, we're on actually the first facility that we're building on Blum Street, the 14 units. That'll be I think the housing mix there will be three, 2, and 1 bedroom units. And 6 of those will be affordable. So that'll be at least 60% below the current SMSA for our market, you know. So let's say if the house was $1,000 a month, for that tenant it would be 600, you know. And that's kind of, and there probably will be a couple of be even less than that. But that's going to be the theme for most of the projects that we're building, because we're trying to build affordability into each of our projects. With the senior citizens, it'll be the same way, you know.
Oh, wait. They can't hear you online, so if you could go, please say it, but you can. Well, the mic's right there, so.
On this side, we won't be able to. Come on over. Don't be a scam.
Okay, fine. Okay, so the second question that I have for you is based on my experience as an entrepreneur. Navigating nepotism, navigating gatekeepers has been quite difficult for me, right? And you mentioned two things, two quotes you mentioned. I took them down, and more or less they're a quote. You said there was only so much success they were going to allow us to have, right? So my question is, who is the they? You also said another quote, not the best advice from the powers that be, because it wasn't in their best interest. So my question is, who is the they and who are the powers that be, and how do they impact your journey?
Well, the first one is interesting. The banks and Prudential. I mean, once they saw the kind of dollars we were generating, on average about $1.5 million a month in revenue, which is at the time was an enormous amount of money. It's still, I mean, today it's still an enormous amount of money. So with $1.5 million a month, we had begun to think about doing other things with some of that capital. We were looking to buy some real estate. As a matter of fact, we had purchased 3 apartment complexes that we were going to renovate. As you know, it was down the road. It was the tomorrow. Barry used to call it the tomorrow file. So we had a tomorrow file, and these were things that we were going to do as we began to continue to grow the company. Actually, I was heading the tomorrow file because I was grabbing all the real estate, but that was the one piece. And then the second part of the question was what?
You said they were going to only so much success that they were going to allow you to have, and then you said you didn't get the best advice from the powers that be because it wasn't in their best interest. Well,
the cable industry itself was consolidating and looking to consolidate, and they were chasing out a lot of folks. We weren't the only folks they chased out. There was our partner in Jersey City was Suburban Cable. Suburban Cable had a huge swath of Essex County. They had East Orange, they had like Montclair, they had a lot of cable and they had partnered with us in Jersey City. Well, the cable company has a cable company association, national association. And they said, I was at the meeting, we got to get these Canadians out of there. Out of here. What are they doing in our market? We can't come into their market. Why are we letting them in ours? So that was the same kind of attitude they had towards us. Because initially in Columbus, Ohio, there was a brother that had the franchise. In Detroit, Michigan, there was a brother that had the franchise, Don Barden. wonderful brother. And all the urban areas where cable was preponderant, Black folks got the franchise. In DC, Don Johnson, who had BET, they had the franchise. I'm trying to think of some others, but notably.
There's one in Queens.
In Queens, Queens, that was Percy Sutton. That was WBLS, those folks. They had the cable front. Matter of fact, Don and Percy and I, we battled for a franchise in Philadelphia, which was won by some Black folks, but we were battling, and Percy said to us, we were on the stage, it was a big audience, a huge audience in the council chamber, and Percy said, Calvin, we gave you the funding for the cable company in Newark. I said, Percy, you promised us the funding for the cable company in Newark, but you didn't give us a dime. For which he never forgave me. He stopped me. I was by Central Park one day driving, and he's driving. He just happened to drive by, and he said, he rolled the window down, big Cadillac. I think I had an old Chevy. He rolled the window. Calvin Reed. Hi, sir. How are you? I haven't forgiven you. But we both chuckled, which was good. He didn't pull out a gun and try to shoot me. Yes, dear.
You have to go.
Yes.
Come on up. Don't be scared.
What advice do you have for me as a young entrepreneur when obstacles get in my way to stay resilient?
One of the things that you have to do for sure is stay your course. By that, I mean, just don't let anybody tell you you can't do it. One door slams, another door will open because you're going to knock on that next door. And the other thing that you have to be mindful of is not to allow one no mean no to you. No means that person is not interested or doesn't understand what your vision is, but the next person is going to absolutely understand what you're trying to do and try to help you. But there will be some obstacles, but guess what? You will kick them down and you'll make it happen. You have a tremendous opportunity for yourself, and I know you're going to do well. I used to sell vegetables at Nat's Produce Market, and I was a little older than you, but I used to think, wow, is this going to be my life? No, it was going to be something better because I made it something better, and you will too.
Thank you.
I have a question. This is Dana Wilson, and unfortunately I missed the beginning of your speech, but I just wanted to know. I know you mentioned housing projects. Can you briefly talk about the other types of projects you're going to be doing in addition to that, or is that your sole?
I can tell. Sure. I'll be happy to. The district is going to compose of several different things. I mean, we have an infinite wish list that we're trying to progress. But the first phase of the project is going to be the housing, and so we're going to build on 16th Street. On 18th Street, we're going to build a 14-unit housing complex. 16-unit housing complex with two commercial spaces downstairs. And that's on the corner of 18th and Avon Avenue. On Blum Street, as I mentioned, that's near the that's off of Springfield Avenue near the Home Depot. We're building a 14-unit project that will be some affordability in that project. On 15th Street, we're building either 25, or probably in segments, 25 and then another 25, so 50 units for senior citizens. On 16th Street, we're building a two-family initially, and that's going to be part of a project we're calling, New Africa Commons. New Africa Commons will be housing that we develop for young people or first-time homebuyers in Newark. And we're trying to put together now a way in which we can provide mortgages for them as well as provide the housing stock itself. And then additionally, we have on Springfield Avenue, another project that we're building, which is going to be 9 residentials and 1 retail spaces. And that space is going to be right next to the Masjid Al Haq, which is one of our partners in the development of our projects with New Africa. On Springfield Avenue, again, across the street between 19th and 20th Street, we want to build a medical arts building, 10 more retail stores, and probably 55 units of housing. And that's kind of like the first phase. As we move forward into the next phases, we'll probably be trying to get a hotel for downtown Newark and a convention center, amongst other things. Yeah.
And just as a follow-up to that, these projects that you're working on, these economic development projects, what is your source of funding for these projects?
Myth, magic, and mystery. No, we we have been dealing with foundations and private funds and a lot of institutional money too. I mean, Industrial Bank, which used to be City National in Newark, they've moved to Washington, D.C., but they have a headquarters still in Newark at the Haynes Building. And we've been working with Industrial Bank to provide some of the banking, the money from banks or financial institutions. But there are any number of banks that we've been dealing with. PNC Bank has expressed some interest. Chase Manhattan wants to give us money. Listen, once you get a project rolling, it's not difficult to get money. We have private investors that want to give us. We have 3 private investors now who are chomping at the bit to give us money because they want some of the equity. They see what the vision is. They understand what the potential for its development is going to be, and they'd like to get a piece now while the going is easy and the entry level for getting some of the opportunity would be cheap. Well, so they think, but we know what the value is, and so it will be, if they want in, they can get in, but it's going to cost them some dollars.
I was just curious because I'm a grant writer and I specialize in economic development as well. So it sounds very interesting.
Well, you should. I'll give somebody my number, and if you want to reach
You can
me,
give it to Kaylin.
Good. All right. Good. I think I'll have a card. I'll give her my business card.
Thank you so much.
I normally get $1 for them.
Ask one question. I'm sorry, just as a follow-up to what Dana was talking about, because as I listened to you talk about the New Africa Development Corporation, what keeps coming to mind is Black Wall Street.
Yes.
And can you talk a little bit about the parallels as you think about the vision that you have, the parallels between the two, and what we should all be thinking and doing along those lines?
One of the things I think that everybody has an entrepreneurial notion in them. Everybody said, I think I could do so and so. Well, what I say to everybody is start writing it down, take it off that piece of scrap paper, outline it, go to somebody who might be able to assist you and say, listen, this is what I think I'd like to do. I'd like to start a laundromat. And I heard they got this district in Newark called the New Africa District. I want to put a laundromat in the New Africa District. Is there space there for it? And we just happen to have some commercial space that we will be building. So there is an opportunity like that. If you want to have who was talking to you about daycares? If you want to have a daycare center in Newark, you need to say, listen, we're going to need a daycare center, and I think I want to be the one to run it. It's actually I have a couple of properties in town, and one of my buildings, there's a sister who's been running a daycare center for someone else. And I told her, I said, why don't you start your own daycare center? Why are you giving those people all the money? They're not from Newark. That was code for they're not sort of like us. But anyway, but I am from North, by the way, Avon and 12th. But so I'm saying, we have to start thinking entrepreneurially and know that there are resources out there. Quite frankly, some of the resources that we're getting are from, or that we're being offered, are from entities that are already in town and that are being successful. Some of the funeral homes have been reaching out to us to say, hey, listen, we want to be a part of this. Because that way they can get the money coming in and going out. But yeah, but I'm saying that there are dollars that are available. You just have to kind of think outside the box about who do you see around you that's successful that might be able to assist you. And more often than not, even if they don't give you some cash for your particular enterprise, they can give you some direction. They can say, well, I did this. And most people, unlike me, because this is not good for me, Don. I don't like talking about myself anymore. I used to, but that was when I was young and, much sassier. Now I have 5 children and I've retired. But I'm saying the key, I think, is to constantly speak about what it is you want to do. Don't let your dream get smashed by anybody, and just be persistent, So next, yes.
Okay, so my question, in regards
Step
to,
over.
the hotel,
Yes,
I can't remember what the term is. It's something like a timeshare.
right.
Will there be any opportunities to buy into a room to where, okay, and then when the hotel is up and running, when people rent that room,
Right.
I will get part of the.
Yeah, you just say
Okay.
a co-op.
Yes.
I understand.
Is there an
Yeah.
opportunity for that?
It's not something I've entertained in terms of our vision for the hotel,
Okay.
but it's something we certainly would consider.
Yes, because it's a percentage, not all.
No, it's no. Well, if you want to buy it all, trust me, it can be sold. No,
Okay.
but that's an option that we certainly would consider.
Okay.
You know,
And then also, what would the requirements be to rent from your locations, like your Bloom Street, the new African project?
well, if the rents are going to be determined by income for those folks for those rents that are going to be affordable.
Mm-hmm.
The rent will be determined by your income.
Okay.
And more often than not, there'll be a voucher that will be issued to you from the Newark Housing Authority or some other entity
Got it.
that will support the excess that the rent should be charged.
Okay, and so I'm going to stay in contact because I
Yeah.
definitely like to have.
I'll give you a
something
card.
going on. Yeah.
I normally get $1 for them, like I said, but
Okay.
for the day only, they're free.
No robbery. Okay.
Yes.
To start by finding the right people to advise or invest in their businesses. So my question to you is, were you strategic about who you approached as you were developing your idea? And did you encounter anyone who attempted to steal your concept?
That's something you have to kind of know the people that you know and that you're going to share with your ideas, because there are folks who will attempt to co-op your idea. I've had that happen to me on a number of occasions where the thing about trying to steal somebody else's idea is that unless you have the real overall vision of what it's going to take to make that happen, stealing your idea is probably not going to work, because they're not stealing your business plan. They're not stealing your entree into your expertise in that particular area of whatever it is you're doing. So they can try to steal your idea, but stealing your idea, unless they have the resources, mental and economic, to go about it, it's not going to work. I had a couple of people who tried, some people who I thought were close to me, who tried to abscond with some of my ideas, and it worked for them for a couple of minutes, but then they failed because they didn't understand what it takes, the staying power it takes in order to endure in the marketplace, But yeah, that happens. So
you find yourself in a position where you were sending proposals that had too much information and kind of assist?
Well, what you do is you have to send initially just a broad overview. You don't send a full-blown business plan to anybody. You give them a teaser. You know, you get a little taste of mint, a little hint of mint. You know how you ladies do. Just a little hint. Just enough.
Question online.
Okay, is there another question online?
Hi, yes. My name is Lisa Arrington, and good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Since this latest project is called New Africa, is there any collaborative interest in partnering with Africa? Africa, as you know, is so rich in resources, technology. You know, a lot of projects are really booming. And it's now time, we're in a digital age where there is real room for collaborative kinds of startup businesses. And if you're looking to create an area that is sort of inclusive, it would be nice to see some space dedicated to technologies, because that's where we're heading. We're heading into this AI kind of framework, and we need to now think about retraining. And so, you know, would your facilities be centered or even inclusive of opportunity like that?
We do have a New Africa training division that we'll be establishing. And it's not going to just be a training for carpenters, plumbers, and electricians and stuff like that, but there'll also be an AI department there. But to the first part of your question, have we reached out to anybody in the diasporas for funding, for instance? We have, and we are in discussion right now with several folks who are from various parts of Africa to assist us. Ghana, Nigeria, and Namibia. So we're right on the same line there, Lisa. And
That's great. That's great.
hopefully we'll be able to bring some of them to bear too.
Wonderful luck.
Thank you. Yes, hi, come on up.
How are you?
Hi.
So thank you very much.
Your
My name
name
is
is?
Nakisha Wilson.
Nakisha, pleasure.
Pleasure to meet you.
Uh-huh.
Thank you for sharing your story and setting the path for so many trailblazers that we have in the room and outside of the room. You partially answered my question within another question when you mentioned the laundromat.
Mhm.
So my husband and I owned and operated a laundromat in Newark. So if there is a laundromat facility that's needed for this development,
Mm.
we can guide, support, and help instruct on how to build a successful laundromat. So we're open and available to support. with
Well, you too can get a card. As I said, free of charge today.
All right,
But yeah,
thank you.
So,
Thank
yeah,
you.
but clearly there's going to be some need for laundromats, and not just laundromats, but dry cleaning.
Okay.
We don't have any. I think the only dry cleaner around that we know of is one down on 21st. What's that? Route 21, downtown Newark, right near in the North Newark section. Yeah, there's a dry cleaner there, but there are no dry cleaners, so there needs to be dry cleaners.
We
there.
struggled with the dry cleaning piece as well. And even like a Black-owned laundromat, we struggled with initially. And our laundromat was on Springfield and South 15th Street.
Right.
And we sold it right next to the masjid space.
Yeah,
on,
I know the one in the corner.
Okay.
I know the building.
So-
It's empty. Well, there's a restaurant that runs out of now.
It used to be a restaurant and then it was dilapidated for a few years and we retooled it and turned it to a laundromat and we sold it in 2023.
Okay.
So I'm gonna get back to my question. I invited a young man here today
Mhm.
and he reached out to me a few months ago. And I'm so grateful that he felt like he could reach out to me.
Mm.
So my question is, how can we position ourselves so that when our young people like Michael and Melody show up and need support and need employment, because he's been looking for several months for employment and we're calling everyone we know and it's like we need employment for him so he doesn't go back to doing what he's been doing. How can we position ourselves so that when our young people show up and they need guidance and they need support and they need employment and they need our experience and they need all of these resources that we have so we can feed back into them so they can become trailblazers in our society. What can we do now to support these people that show up and say, I need help?
Well, you have to take baby steps first. I mean, you can't save all the world in the first day. But what we're trying to do with New Africa is develop a system and a community that does everything supportive of themselves. We want all of the people in New Africa, in the New Africa district, to be about New Africa. So in terms of sharing information, there'll be a network for sharing data and opportunities in that space. There'll also be an opportunity, as I said, for training. So we will be training folks. So somebody will be able to come, and not just training, but the best kind of training I find is when you're getting paid to get trained.
Right.
Because if you get a little check while you're getting trained, you know, it makes it easy. And then and plus you get kind of happy with that check.
Yeah.
And you get even happier when you know the check's going to grow bigger, because once you get this training, and it makes you want to attend too. Because now I'm attending, I'm getting trained, I'm making a little dollar, and they're telling me I was making $20 an hour and I'm going to be making 50. Well, that's a wonderful thing. It's incentive, you know, and that's the kind of thing we hope to provide for folks, you know.
Okay.
And it's happening, but you know, like I said, step by step. It's a one step at a time. You know, we like to take giant steps.
Okay.
But you can't do that unless you got Dodge with you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Reed.
You're welcome, dear. Next question. Yeah, no problem. How are you, brother?
I'm great. How are you?
It's good to hear you speak this morning.
Thank you very much. My question is particularly for the entrepreneurs in the room who have had the range of experiences that we've had trying to get our things stood up or growing them. In your experiences, can you talk about limiting beliefs and self-defeating practices that you may have observed from Black entrepreneurs, especially that we need to get rid of?
Well, yeah, negativity is what you're talking about, you know, and not staying grounded. One of the things you can't get locked into or even concern yourself with is not being able to move past a no. Don will tell you, every no can turn into a yes. You just have to approach that individual or that entity with a better solution than what you had before. I mean, one time, when we were first starting to do the cable business, I would go out and work for other cable companies. And one of the cable companies I worked for was a cable company in Galway. It happened to be Suburban Cable, who later on became one of our partners. And there was a guy there, Bob Bilodeau, and he sent me out there to Galway, and he sends me out to Galway, and he knows I'm not going to get anything but doors slammed in my face, you know, which was happening. But I was persistent. I would go give my pitch. And I finally got to one lady's door, and she said, "Who's that?" And she came and opened the door, and I didn't notice anything particular about her. She went back and she said, "Well, you know, what is it you try to sell this, son?" And I said, "Cable television." She said, "Well, you may not have noticed, but I'm blind." I said, "Well, your TV's on." I said, "You listen to TV, this will make it better." You know, so it was she bought the cable. So I'm saying, you know, so you have to understand what opportunities there are. And like I said, negativity, yes, there's going to be particularly because we're Black. So first of all, they're going to be afraid. You got a camouflage shirt on. Oh my God. Well, see, you know, so you know, you got a beard. You know, you don't look like me. Well, those things can easily be overcome by conversation, by being informative about what you're saying to someone, about not asking more than you think you can get. If all you want is advice, just ask them advice. Say, "Listen, I'm not looking for any money from you. I'm just looking for some advice. I just want to know, how did you start this plumbing business? You know, I'm a plumber. I just want to know, what did you do? I see your trucks around here. How did you get it done? Folks love to talk about themselves. So, they'll be happy to help you. Some of them. Some will say, "You get the hell out of here. I you see I'm busy." But you gotta be, that's okay. You just ask the next question.
Thank you.
You're welcome, brother.
Hello.
Hi.
My name is Miani.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
Nice to meet you. I know you said you didn't want to talk too much about yourself and your history, but I came here because I went to Lincoln University and I read in your bio that you went to Lincoln University. And so I'm like very curious about your experience. We're having a lot of pushback these days about HBCUs and how they can shape the trajectory of someone's life. So I'm an educator, and I'm really interested in understanding how educational environments influence personal and professional outcomes. And so I just wanted to know if you'd take a little bit of time to reflect on your time at Lincoln University. I don't know if it was as impactful for you as it was for me. And how do you feel that being part of an HBCU community helped to shape your path, especially in terms of your sense of identity, leadership, resilience? I read a lot of that in your bio. And do you think your experience at Lincoln has had a lasting impact on your career decisions and the way you've approached the challenges that you talked to us all about throughout your life?
Absolutely. First of all, Lincoln was one of the best experiences that I had any time in my life. It was well, you're transitioning. I went there a child, a 17-year-old child, and I came out a 21-year-old man. But my breast full of knowledge, my mind full of knowledge, and my breast full of vim and vigor. So I can't really begin to tell you how much Lincoln meant to me, other than to say that I made lasting relationships at Lincoln. It gave me the courage to go out and try anything I wanted. I knew from just who had been at Lincoln before me what it could possibly mean for me to be a Lincoln man, because that was a big thing at the time when I was in school. And Lincoln was considered at the time the Black Princeton. I went to school, one of my classmates was Gil Scott Heron. So, his first book, Across 125th Street, I edited it for him, So, those were the kinds of things that were going on at Lincoln at the time. And then I went there when there were a sparsity of women. When I say sparsity, I remember going on campus and I was like, oh my God. Yeah, there were 100 women and there were 1,100 men. 1,100 men. So I was like, listen, I'm going to be doing a lot of studying. And so interestingly, everybody kind of, sniffed their nose up and sniffled at, certain ladies as they walked across campus. And I can remember there were two sisters, twins. Both of them turned out to be doctors and very, very nice sisters. And we used to call them Heckle and Jekyll. And by November, I was going out with Heckle. I was happy as hell. One of the chosen few, But so it was a different vibe then. And Lincoln at the time was everybody was very competitive to men. We all wanted to excel. Everybody wanted to get the dean's list. Everybody wanted to get to the good fraternity or whatever. And I went to pledge, and then I thought about it. I was like, I don't know if I can have somebody beating me, and I have to pay. So I said, I don't think I'm gonna do that. So, but I did. You had to have those paddles.
I know.
So no. But I went to a couple of the things, the smokers or whatever the hell it was, and I said, well, I'm not going to join but I said, I don't want you to think I'm a punk either. So I'll trade paddles with anybody who wants to do that. I played baseball. Okay. So trading the paddle with me was a wonderful thing. I could take one and crack the paddle with mine. Yeah, Lincoln was. Who else was there? When I was there was Charles Hamilton.
Okay.
He wrote Black Power with Stokely Carmichael. So they wrote that when I was there. The Stokely spoke often there. Who else was there when I was there? James Farmer, he was there, one of our instructors. The guy who wrote Black Moses, about basically was a biography of he had the he is similar. I'm talking about New Africa. He had Back to Africa. Marcus Garvey. Yeah. Well, the guy who wrote his biography was one of my instructors too. Yes. And hello, somebody wants to.
So you can talk about Lincoln all day.
Yeah, I
got a
could.
little line over here, so we'll talk after. But look, I gotta take this for the alumni page. Sorry, y'all. Okay, thank you.
Hey,
What's up, brother?
Mr. Reed,
Yes.
two of your colleagues who founded Connection Cable with you are online. We have Barry Washington,
John Barry,
and Clarence Ali online, and we'd love to hear from either or both of you.
Yeah, briefly is the way. Yes. What's up, Barry? How are you, brother?
Oh, wow, I didn't mean to join the meeting.
Oh, you didn't?
Well, it's too late now. Wait, too late now. Hey, man. Wait, you're gonna be as you know what tripped me out is when a year ago, literally Saturday, was my Don. But Don knows me. Wait a minute. Don knows me and just, called and kind of woke up, but I still didn't pay attention that his event was going to be today. But so I just did it on my normal, whatever I'm going to do, I do. I went on a mission. I had a mission because I'm a writer for a Black newspaper in Oakland, California.
Right.
And at some point, his name is man. See, that's what happens when you get old. Your short-term memory turns to crap. But my long-term memory, man, because do you know that anecdote that you came up with for the selling of when I raised the money, increased the next level of money, was that experience? No, we were raising the money because they blocked us for a year from New York because Cablevision.
Yeah.
Did you, man? We got to tell our story another time because you would have been able to step in the way I'm stepping in. So I'm gonna leave that one alone, man. There's so much I want to say to you, man. I love how you've aged, and you've managed to have me avoid looking you in the face until now. Because you never return my calls, maybe a text, and that
I'm
keeping
busy.
you away from me. Because guess what, Calvin?
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
think about how many ideas of yours got stolen.
Yeah,
Well, if
I
I'd
heard
have
that.
heard your ideas, I would have said I would be at a Shark Tank on your ass. Sorry, man. I gotta calm down. I gotta calm down. You got me. You look, hey man, you're beautiful, brother. And let me tell you something. I knew you from the neighborhood, right?
Yes, sir.
I remember your woman lived right down the street, underneath my bachelor pad, right? Right. And one day you knocked on my door. And I said, yo, bro, Barry, could you see me around my B Square stuff? And I said, what's up, bro? He said, man, come on downstairs. And that's another talk show, as my sister likes to say. That's another talk show. But that blind lady sales pitch meant that we could sell cable even to the blind. Snow to an Eskimo, if you want to know.
That's right.
That's how it works. That is how it works.
Yeah.
So, Calvin, congratulations, man. I only heard every time I turned and you answered the question of what you're doing now, it made my heart sing the power of networking. And at the end of the whole thing, after I got with, I never thought I could do it. I had so many self doubts, and it woke me up from my transition from my late partner and my cohab wife, for 20 years in California. I was so doubtful about what I was going to do next. And Don called me. He said, "You got it, come." I said, "Yeah." Whatever was happening, I had to gear up. I had some self doubts. The main one, brother man, was my was. Can y'all see me, or am I just talking?
We see a picture of, and as a matter of fact, it's an interesting picture because the picture is, I can see from my vantage point, I can see positive vibes only. That's what I
Yes.
see, and that's what I get from you, brother. I always have.
Amen. And at the end, hey, wait a minute. And at the end of my interaction with this meeting, is I'm going to endorse some products because I realize my next calling. You know what I am, brother man?
What's that?
An influencer.
Ah, I like that. I
Do you
like
like
that.
that?
I like that, brother. How many followers you have so far? Because I
Well,
want to be.
I haven't started yet because at the end I'm going to throw something out to my network. Right. So anyway, let me slow down because I did not. Only part of the meeting I actually focused on was when you were up there, and I said, "Well, let me get my little network together fast as I can." And I didn't do it quite as I wanted to because the beauty of the being the network is that this is going to be up there for a marketing tool. Man, shoot, lucky I'm not single anymore. Because man, hey wait, I give him the new promotion for the B square evolution,
Oh,
and
that's a good. Is that
that
from the
is
nursing home, right?
say what?
From the nursing home.
Oh man, see what I mean? Hey, wait, folks. Let me just tell you something about this brother here. When I was forming my team for the cable thing, and of course Clarence is really the chairman of Connection. His idea was the kernel, and that was that. I took it from there because I'm an implementer by nature. I'm an industrial engineer by training, MBA in industrial engineering, and I see a problem. No matter how big, the doing Connection gave me the confidence to know that anything is possible. It depends on who you know and how much you know, not necessarily in that order. The And this network has plugged in, and because I thought it was Don Network. I said, boy, I know he could sell snow to an Eskimo, but man, the Don Viapree Network, that's okay. That means you take a piece of every deal that comes through. I love it. But he said no. At the end of it, everybody said no. I think Brother Fraser said, no, that means Divine Network. Am I right or wrong? Anybody? Is that true? Is it?
Yeah, that's true. I heard that also.
Yeah, okay, great. Okay.
Divine Network. This is Della. How are you?
Oh my God, girl. That picture. Now, that distracted me from what I was thinking about that. Boy, you're beautiful. It's good to see you. Good to
You
see
too.
you. Hey, wait a minute. And you got the best housing unit for are you still in that house across the street from Metropolitan Baptist Church?
I'm still in the house, 35 years.
Girl, I bought a condo in there. Marty Gillis, my influencer, by the way, uh, talked me into buying. She said, Barry, I'm getting ready to get. She has 4 houses already. She hadn't been out at B school, but let me slow down. I'll bring this back up.
Hold on. What happened to our Mr. Reed? Are we the only two that can hear each other?
Evidently, I think there's a Zoom master who's working this. As long
Okay.
as we don't worry about the extent. I guess I'm just talking to you, and that's wonderful.
Well, that's a
So
blessing.
yeah,
Yes.
we'll hit back. We'll hit back because I'm going to tell everybody. No, I'm not. My friend, her mother's just died, and her mother was. And then I said, oh, and she said, well, she would have been 101 today.
Oh, my condolences.
Say what?
My condolences.
Exactly, but we got to keep it moving. So I'm glad you on it, and wait till you hear the next question. The next question. 'Cause and the reason she made me pay. Oh man, there's so much I want to say to you. Oh my God, I'm glad you are still alive and kicking. Let me put it that way. Let me go. Boy, this is too much. This is too much. Let me focus back on what I was doing. Okay. All right, bye.
The sign, went through Indeed. It was just kind of hard, like getting people the right fit. I did take in a few people from school, and I helped train cosmetology students and different things like that to help them get their license. But that part was fine, teaching, training, all of that. But getting the right fit, I had a real struggle. So that's one thing. And the other thing is, what do you do when you get sick, really ill, and then the bills are piling up as a small business owner? And so I still work for myself, but I'm traveling. So I want to know, what do? You use your savings, you're paying, and you're not bringing it in anymore. So just something, a baseline to help like entrepreneurs with that.
One thing that you need to have is founder's insurance.
Okay.
You need to have insurance on yourself,
Mhm.
so that if you do have something goes wrong with the business, there's business insurance, business owner's insurance that you can get
Mhm.
that will hold you through those tough times.
Okay.
That's one thing.
Mhm.
And as far as trying to recruit good people,
Yes.
If you go to the college,
Mhm.
Essex County College,
Mhm.
and just put a bulletin and say, I'm gonna have a seminar on such and such, and I'm looking to hire some new people, part-time, you'll have a room full of folks.
Okay,
that will
okay.
come and say,
That's
I wanna attend your seminar, I wanna hear what kind of opportunity you make. So you call up the human resources department and tell them that this is what the opportunity you have. They'll make that available.
Thank you so much. And insurance, like I have insurance, but it's founders insurance. So if you personally,
If you go down, yeah, whatever happens, and you can get as large a policy as you can afford. So, if you can only afford like $100,000, fine, let's get that. But if you get $1 million policy, get that.
the $1 million.
Matter of fact, then get sick.
That's right, that's right. Thank you so much. Thank you. Hello.
Hi.
How are you? My name is Carla. Nice to see you. Now I live in Southport, so
Southport?
So I'm kind of in the area.
I lived on Van Belsen myself for a while. I lived on Van Belsen, right near Chancellor Avenue. Those garden apartments there. Right up for Bergen Street. Yeah, I lived there. I sunk in the it was nice.
Okay, so now I know I'm gonna be moving to.
That's a good place.
Nonetheless, I'm an entrepreneur as well. I run a business here in Newark. The franchise that I run right now is called Bricks for Kids. So we work with children.
Okay.
Right. Like I'm called them up.
Okay.
But my question though is piggybacking off of Jenny's question around when you have an idea and you know you're gonna need large funding. You don't have no money, but you're gonna need $10 million to get something done. Where do you start to ask for the support? Like, do you have, so right now I stopped asking because I didn't have my pitch together, my pitch deck, right? So I did some of the research already, knew, what would kind of need to be done, kind of knew how much money it was about, but then it's like, okay, what do I bring to someone if I'm having this conversation with them? Do I need to have all my numbers already ready? Can I just take a pitch? Do I give them a one pager? What does that kind of look like? And what are the steps to get to ultimately having it to
in Newark
published?
There is an entity called Invest Newark. And Invest Newark is that kind of incubator. They will, as a first step, I would contact them. And there's a brother there, I'm trying to think of his name.
Marcus.
Pardon me?
Marcus?
Yeah, Marcus. You know Marcus? Well, they have workshops all the time. And have you been to one? Oh, well.
But they help entrepreneurs like with their day-to-day kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But we haven't had the big question about large projects. Right.
Well,
so if they're the ones, then I need to go back and have that conversation.
No, you should, because and not only that, but Marcus's wife is the chairman of the Robert Wood Foundation, and so they give grants. So if they'll give you an exploratory grant to just kind of see whether or not your idea is viable. You know, I mean, you picture, you say, listen, this is what I want to do. This is how I think it'll impact the community. This is how much money I need to do my preliminary, work study. And they can give you a couple $1,000s, 5,000, 10,000, however much money you think it's going to require for you to get that done.
Get the architects.
Yeah, all of that. It's called pre-development. They give you pre-development grants. And they're not just them, but there's the Fund for New Jersey. There's a lot of different. There's the Victoria Foundation right here in Newark. Then they give out cash.
But to not to 501c3.
Why not? Sure.
501c3, but I didn't know that they would give money to for profit organizations.
Craig Drinker. Yeah. Contact Craig or his secretary Candace and say, listen, I got an idea, and you guys I'm from Newark. I think my idea is worthy of some support. What can you give me $10,000 grant, $5,000, $15,000 grant, whatever. They got the money.
So when I see him next week, I'll see
yeah, absolutely. You should.
Because with those, I'm not 501c3, so that's always been a challenge as well.
Well, listen, they want to help everybody that's a minority get ahead. So if you have an idea that's going to make folks decide that they don't want to go to Hilton anymore, they want to come to your space, please tell them that that's what you want to do.
Thank you.
Welcome.
We have some people in the audience that would love to come up and share some words with you. I'd like to call Adrian Council at this time.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, brother. How are you?
Wonderful. I just want to say thank you so much. I learned a lot just by being here today, and I certainly.
You're not gonna report me to the police on it.
Not at all. As a matter of fact, a couple of things I wanted to ask you though. New Africa.
Yes.
Is that Newark? It's Newark based.
Yes.
Does that have international?
Well, the New Africa concept, just to give you a little background, New Africa Development Corporation is that's how we're implementing it in Newark. But the actual vision or idea for New Africa came from Wallace Dean Muhammad. He was the one that said that we should have Black enterprises all over the country, and that we should spread them across the country, particularly in our communities. So this is just an embodiment of that vision that he had.
Okay.
And, but yes, and they're doing it. It's also being done in Philadelphia now.
Okay.
Currently, and as a matter of fact, in Washington D.C. as well. They just finished their first 81 unit apartment complex.
Okay.
With a similar kind of vision of maintaining the notion of the Black diaspora being able to influence the neighborhood and continue Blackness in our spaces that we continue.
So let me ask you, I published a Positive Community magazine.
Okay.
We're a faith-based lifestyle magazine. We distribute to a lot of churches throughout the New York and New Jersey metropolitan area. And we've been publishing that for the last 25 years. The interesting thing about what Calvin is talking about, what's really interesting is the fact that we have to create a community of salespeople.
Yeah.
We really do. And we talk about
in order for you to get advertising base, but you know what you have to do similar to what we did with Gospel Review.
Right.
When we were doing Gospel Review, we looked at who we knew what our audience was, but who was benefiting from that audience. Those are the folks you need to approach to get advertisement.
Right.
So if you know that somebody's selling prayer beads, you got to go to the prayer bead guy and say, listen, this is what my magazine is going to reach this many people,
right?
And I can benefit you now. And I can also suggest to somebody else that they start prayer beads because it's a good business.
Sure.
But if you push your business with me,
right,
I'll help your business grow.
Right.
But otherwise, I'm going to take this idea and I'm going to tell Sci-Fi over here that she should do prayer beads.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean,
it's just
touch of the stone.
Because basically what happens is that the churches purchase the magazine in bulk.
Right.
And then they distribute it to their congregation. So we're not waiting on a newsstand for somebody to pay $7 or so. But I have talked to church leaders and I've asked them, I said, well, what can happen instead of you paying $1.50 a copy, why don't you give it to young people and let them pay and let them charge $3 a copy.
Right.
And then you
And it's
save 10%, you tithe 10%,
Right.
you purchase your supplies, and you become entrepreneurs.
Right.
And so that is, you know, it's really what's called the economics of culture.
Yeah, but the problem with that is that
I mean, you don't have to go outside the
no.
vestibule.
All I'm saying,
Uh-huh.
the problem with that is young people are not motivated necessarily to be entrepreneurs. I mean, I remember I used to sell Boy Scout cookies or whatever it was that we sold, and kids don't do that anymore.
Right.
They got
Right.
video games.
Right.
Mama give them
Right.
$25. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's hard to motivate a choir like that.
But nonetheless, I just think that the economics of culture
Yeah.
is extraordinarily important now,
Absolutely.
as opposed to the politics of economics.
No, you're right.
Where you have to depend on government to give you whatever it is that you're going
Well,
to sustain.
the government's not going to give it to you for much longer.
No, right. So you have to be able to sustain yourself.
Absolutely.
But I just wanted to thank you. Don asked me to come over and say hello to
Well,
you
brother, I
and
appreciate it.
meet you. And,
Yeah.
you know, you're a legend indeed. So thank you so much.
A fading legend.
Nonetheless, with a spirit.
That's a
So
good
that
thing.
goes on forever.
That is.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Whoa, thank you.
Watch that chord.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
We have one other person we'd like to call up, Mr. Derek Law.
I start getting overtime just to.
Nah, they told me to keep it short, you know. So Calvin, you probably don't remember me, but when I came to the cable company knocking on a door at the age of 17 years old, I was working briefly for HBO.
Okay.
Where they had the little antenna you put in the window,
Yeah.
right?
Yes,
So
I remember that.
all right.
I remember that.
You remember
system.
that time,
I
right?
remember that system. Yeah.
So had a choice, go to college, military, went to school for executive secretaries, learn how to type.
A good
Ended up
skill.
typing in 95 words a minute.
That was a good skill.
And I was better than everybody.
Yeah.
So I was like, where am I going to go? So because I was doing HBO, I went to the cable company. It took me 5 times to get a job there.
Yeah.
But I got a job.
Right. Yeah.
Because you guys was focused on workforce development and the community and giving people opportunity. Okay. Started off as a data entry clerk.
Right.
So I was the one that's entering all those work orders.
Oh, yeah.
And you know that tier of services?
Yeah.
Okay, so I interacted with all your salespeople.
I had to.
Don is one of those salespeople.
Yeah. Okay.
So I was the data entry clerk.
And he made sure your stuff was right.
Let me tell you something.
And you made sure his stuff was right.
But I knew what was happening based on them selling people this that they couldn't afford.
Right.
And then next thing you know, I'm getting a bunch of work orders to reduce the service. That was a part of what my responsibility was.
You should have told Barry.
You know what? It was crazy because I seen it when it happened. When you start making moves to increase the sales,
right?
My work order pile went like this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and it was good.
Right.
Real quick, I went from data entry clerk, right, to senior computer operator. I was the one that was running the Texas Instruments,
right,
with the big drums.
Oh my God!
Printing out the work orders.
The worst decision we ever made was to get Texas.
I know. And I was the one that had to deal with that craziness. Okay?
We should have had IBM.
You should have had IBM. But here's the thing. I worked on it. That's where I got my start. And I've been doing it for the past 35 years now.
Brother, congratulations.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do, brother.
I'm doing and following what Connection Cable has done, what you guys have done. I'll get some time to talk with you, right? Because one experience I had with you real quick, I was the one that was there late at night when nobody was there but the TV studio.
Right.
And you guys was up in the conference room.
Right.
Barry's office was right here looking over everybody.
That's right, the mezzanine.
You remember that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm the guy that was there, and when you guys was in that conference room, y'all was going through some serious battles. I mean, I ain't talking about battles. I'm talking about yelling and hollering, and I'm like,
well, you know,
what was that all about?
That's how we communicate.
Is that how you communicate?
Who can speak the loudest and get their point across?
But as a young man, what I can say to you, looking at what you guys did from the beginning and to what you went through from even when it was sold, how you touched so many people, and I seen how it just grew.
Yeah.
The technicians, the salespeople, the broadcasting.
Plus,
everything.
you know what happened was a lot of folks had an opportunity to lead then. And we gave that to everybody. And we had one, you know, we were integrated company as well. I think we had 2 Caucasians.
Yeah.
Out of 200.
Yep.
I don't like what their business is like, you know.
Yes.
But but we wanted our people to be the people that grew from cable television. And it's the same thing happened when we were in Jersey City. We had, you know, Arnold McKinnon, God rest his soul, he died a few years ago, but Arnie had the same kind of vision as us. And he built the same kind of a network in Jersey City where there were lots of Black technicians. And that was the majority, that company was majority owned by Suburban Cable, but we had majority of the people who worked were Jersey City residents, and they were Hispanic and Black, you know?
Yeah, no, it was a mix. And then finally, my company, Natarius Technology Solutions, we have a fiber and maintenance agreement with Invest Nork and Nork Fiber, where we maintain the Nork fiber network.
Right, that's sweet.
So when you see the Nork fiber network,
right,
my company, as well as other partners, are the ones that's maintaining that.
That's a wonderful
We're
thing.
deploying Wi-Fi throughout all of the open spaces, so recreation in the parks.
Right.
My company has contracts to do that.
You running the line? You running the cable?
Yes, so I have a full fiber optic construction company. I do workforce development, level 1, level 2, level 3 training for fiber optic technician certification.
It's a bad brother.
I'm just saying, it stands from following that framework that you guys have done. So with your project, I would love to be the one that's connecting all of that stuff for you guys.
And we'd love to have you. Make sure I get your card.
Thank you.
All right, brother.
Thank you. Yes.
All right. I think we're almost ready to wind things up. I wanted to let everyone know that we will be back here on June 14th at 11 o'clock, where we will be celebrating Jean Nash Wells, who is the editor for Positive Community. I'd like to thank Pilar College again for their hosting us, and I'd like to bring Don Viapree up to close things out.
Did we really enjoy this masterclass?
Yes.
I could not imagine or anticipate that you all would have so much inquiries and so much information that you needed from Calvin Reed. And I want to thank him for staying. I want to thank him for sharing and exchanging. I also want to, again, thank Pillar College, as David said, for granting us this space. I want to thank our team, Nakisha and Corey, for the refreshments that they provided, that you all consumed. And to the rest of the DV Connected team, Andrew, David, Kaylin, and behind the scenes, Esther and Doreen and Erica, et cetera, because it takes a team to pull something like this. You know, people think it's me, and it's not me. It's not me. It's the team. And the team will continue to do this because evidently there's benefit from it for you. And so on June 14th, we need to see you back for Jean Wells. And I leave you with this. Calvin already told you that each of us are born entrepreneurs. We have dreams. Well, we have dreams because there is greatness within us. There is so much greatness within us that I declare, you can write this down, that our DNA is inherently better than any recent DEI. Let me repeat that. Our DNA is inherently better and greater than any new DEI. So the greatness that's within us just needs our strength. It just needs our courage. And then we deliver. But we can only deliver if we collaborate, if we reach out to one another, as Calvin said, and we ask for direction, for guidance, for assistance, for information, for connections, for networks, in order to fulfill our dreams. And so I urge you, as you know others and yourselves whose dreams are being fulfilled or yet to be fulfilled, reach out. Each one, reach one, teach one. Each one, reach one, teach one. Thank you all for taking the time. Thank you all for being here. And I did my thank you, but the greatest thank you and the best thank you is about to happen.
Thank everyone that I want to thank everyone that came and everyone that came that was online. And I also want to thank Mr. Calvin C. Jr. for taking his time and giving all of us advice.